Boa tarde a todos. Mais uma live da Câmara Brasil-Israel que nós temos o prazer de apresentar, hoje com um convidado muito especial, Alan Hofman. Alan é o diretor de Israel Innovation Authority para a América Latina. Alan, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. Alan is now in Jerusalem, so it's a real pleasure you give your time for our live for the Brasil-Israel Chamber of Commerce. Nós temos também o Guilherme Horn, nosso vice-presidente, especializado nessa área de tecnologia. Guilherme, obrigado por estar com a gente também.
Prazer.
Eu vou ler um breve, apesar de ser muito extenso, mas eu vou abrir um currículo do Alan. Com suas habilidades. Alan Hofman is the Latin American Collaboration Director of the Israel Innovation Authority. In his role, Mr. Hofman is responsible for development and the implementation of a joint R&D collaboration programs with organizations and companies in Latin America, including Inter-American Development Bank, CONACYT, MDIC, FINEP, and Embrap to Brazil. Alan is experienced international collaboration professional, trained in international leadership, working group management, and strategic project design and local and international levels. Alan has served in the Israel Air Force in Department of Military Diplomacy, being responsible for international military cooperation with air forces of Europe. He is Argentinian, living in Israel, and graduated at Hebrew University of Jerusalem. Alan, thank you again. And going direct to your speech, please feel free, and you have the time you need to explain to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Renato, for the invitation, and thank you for the Chamber for the opportunity for sharing with all of you some opportunities that we have of collaboration between Israel and Brazil, between Israeli companies and Brazilian companies. So let's start. As Renato said, my name is Alan Hofman. I'm the Director for Latin America, the Israel Innovation Authority, and especially the Israel Innovation Authority is the national agency for innovation of the country of Israel. And our main goal, our main mission is to foster innovation, to leverage the innovation as a way to develop a sustainable and inclusive growth of the economy. And why we see this? Because for the last 50 or 60 years, Israel invested in R&D, invested in innovation, in order to create an ecosystem, and as you know, Israel became in the last few years the startup nation, and since then we have to feel how we can reach and still being in the peak of the innovation while we are picking up the rest of the economy. So one of the major things that the Israel Innovation Authority does is to create international partnerships through different countries and regions. As you can see now, the Israel Innovation Authority has something like 70 agreements with different agencies and governments around the world. That was the main framework that the Israel Innovation Authority had in the past years, creating frameworks of co-funding of bilateral initiatives between Israeli companies and companies from around the world. In the last few years, we started to think how we can also engage directly with different private companies instead of working together only with the government, and I will speak about that also. In Latin America, especially, we have an agreement of collaboration with the Inter-American Development Bank, the BID, and in Brazil, especially, we have two different agreements with two different organizations. One is with FINEP, and the other one is with EMBRAPI. Both of them are agencies that deals with innovation and R&D for industrial activities. Also, we have an agreement of collaboration with Argentina, with the Minister of Science and Technology, with Uruguay, with the agency ANI, that's the National Agency of Innovation in Uruguay, CONACYT in Mexico, the National Agency of Mexico, with Colombia, and also with Chile through Corfo, their National Agency of Innovation. So how we partner, how we create frameworks to partnerships between Israeli companies and companies from all over the world. I will give you some examples as follows. First, we have the Latin American framework cooperation framework. As I said, we have 6 different agreements. Only 3 of them are active, which mean with call for proposals and budget. 2 in Brazil with FINEP and EMBRAPI, and 1 with Argentina. The other ones, some of them are suspended because of the COVID, and some of them because of budget issues that the agencies had. The funding for each one of those programs is $2 million per year, at least. Some of them it's more, some of them it's a little bit less. And we have several activities that we do in order to create those partnerships. First of all, we do roadshows. We did one 2 years ago in Colombia and Mexico, and last year we had several ones from Latin America, and I will speak about one of them that we have with Brazil. And the 2 different key or 2 different frameworks that we have for the collaboration are the R&D cooperation framework. That's the historical one, the classic, where the Israeli government signed an agreement with the government from Latin America. This agreement create the opportunity where the Israeli government and the Latin American government could fund R&D activities between 2 different companies from different countries, where the Israeli Innovation Authority funds up to 50% of the R&D expenses for the Israeli company, and the foreign agency like FINEP or EMBRAPI funds the Brazilian company with their rules and regulation. It could be 50%, it could be 66%, depends of the project, depends of the agency. This partnership, what creates is a new product where we are looking for innovative initiatives where an Israeli company and let's say a Brazilian company could create a new product where there is new IP, intellectual property, where both companies need to agree in the terms of collaboration how they're going to commercialize it. And what we do as a government is to help these kind of initiatives to be done. And how we fund, as I said, we fund each of the agencies by themselves without deciding how and they are going to invest each other. So I don't decide how and when FINEP and EMBRAPI they funded the Brazilian company, but they only can fund the Brazilian company if I, the International Authority, approve the bilateral project. If I didn't approve the project, but the Brazilian agency like FINEP, EMBRAPI, they approve, they cannot fund the project because it's a bilateral framework where both sides needs to approve the project in order to fund them. Okay, so this is one of the frameworks that we have. The second one that I think that's more interesting because it's new, and I think that creates more opportunities to work directly with the private sector is the pilot and adaptation products program, which means that the Israeli Innovation Authority fund Israeli tech companies to deploy a pilot or to adapt a product from their company to the needs of the market in Latin America. And why this is very interesting? In the last few years, we see more and more corporations and large companies looking for innovation, looking for how they can create an added value for their company, and how they can create an added value for the product that they sell, and how they can be more competitive and increase the productivity of the company. So what we offer to the large companies and corporations in Latin America is to match their challenges and needs with Israeli tech solution. This is something that is novel, and we think that it's very interesting also for large companies in Latin America and also for Israeli companies, because as you know, Israeli companies, they only see the world as the market. They don't see Israel as a market. It's quite different than Brazil. Israel is a very, very tiny country. We are 9 million people, and every tech company that wants to validate or to test their company, they need to test it in different countries, in different atmosphere. They need to check and test and validate this, if this technology could be relevant for a worldwide market. So because of that, countries like Brazil are very interesting for Israeli companies. What we created is a platform that allows them to partner with large companies and corporations, and we can fund them. We can fund this activity. From the other hand, the Latin American corporation could have here a solution that the Israeli National Authority not only tries to get to the solution. We are not only opening a call for proposals, and we are not only publishing this to the ecosystem. We are also evaluating this. So each of the companies that they want to do a pilot or a product adaptation to Latin America through our framework, they have to be evaluated by one of our 200 evaluators, that they evaluate if they are their status, the economic status, the financial status, their quality of the company and the team, and the quality of the technology. If the technology it's an innovative technology or not. This is something that we check, and we do is a kind of due diligence that gives to the Latin America corporation security that this Israeli technology company could achieve what they are looking for. So this is something that's very important, and creates also an added value for Israeli companies and also for Latin American corporations. In the 2019, we have a success story in our partnership with Brazil. We have the agreement with Embrapi and Finepi, and we open a call for proposals with both agencies. At the end, we had something like 19 applications, which means 19 Israeli companies, 19 Brazilian companies that they submit a bilateral R&D project, and we approved 5 projects in the bilateral committee, where us and our partners, they approved those projects. We invested something like $8 million with all the partners and the companies, and this is something that it's very new. We had before an agreement with Mediki that was an agreement that didn't have a lot of success, and we see that the first call for proposals that we have with Embrapi and Finepi, we have a success. We have good projects, good companies in the sectors like agriculture, like life science, like energy and IoT and smart cities. That's something that creates a momentum for Israeli and Brazil partnership, and we see that this could help in 2020 and also during the COVID-19 to create new partnerships for this year. What we did in last call for proposals, and I think that was a very good initiative, is that during the visit of President of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, last March, we did a B2B event with something like 20 companies from Brazil that they came with the president, and we did something like 60 B2B meetings between those companies, Israelis and Brazilian, which create a huge impact for this call for proposals and a lot of partnerships through this framework and through other frameworks too. Besides that, we had made 30 scouting of technologies and companies for Brazilian companies in Israel. That's something that was really interesting, and we see that there is a huge interest of Brazilian tech companies and large companies and corporations to partner with Israel. Besides that, we have this year also a call for proposals in water technologies with the IDB, which means that it was the first call for proposals that the IDB, the Inter-American Development Bank, does together with the Israel Innovation Authority, and it was a call for proposals where 4 different water corporations in Latin America bring their challenges. The IDB fund up to $100,000 per pilot project. One of those corporations was one from Brazil, from the city of Paraguapebas, and we also made a B2B event during also the COVID with the IDB executives and the corporations, and we are very happy to announce that we have 3 different projects that were already approved by the corporations, and they are going through the sign of the agreement between the corporations and the company. So that's another success story which shows that there is a huge interest by large companies in Latin America in engaging Israeli companies. We are going to have a second round of these challenges in September, October, and November. We are going to publish something like 6 to 8 new challenges from 6 or 8 major water corporations in Latin America, and we hope to have several solutions and several challenges that we can solve. So I think that I finished this little presentation. I would like to hear from you. What are your main interests, and which kind of partnership do you see that you can create through those frameworks or through other frameworks? How you see that the Israel ecosystem can help your company or the corporation that you work with in order to create a more competitive company, and maybe we can find the way how we can partner together. The Israel Innovation Authority has these 2 frameworks, these 2 ways of collaboration: the R&D bilateral initiative that we work together with national agencies, but also the pilot and adaptation product program. And also there is a possibility for collaborations in R&D directly with corporations through the Israel Innovation Authority, and getting all this funding for the Israeli company, and also the valuation of the company for the LATAM corporation.
Okay, Alan, thank you very much. And before Guilherme makes his questions, I would like to have from you a comment. How do you compare the Brazilian startup company with other startups from other countries of the Latin America? just to have your picture on a picture of that?
First of all, I want to give you a short answer. We see that there is a high quality of technology and R&D that is done in Brazil. Why we see it? Because also we see that the partnership that the Israeli company has with them, they're high quality, and they're also very well evaluated by the Israeli Innovation Authority. Most of the programs that we had in the past in Latin America, they were not so successful because most of the companies that they are innovative, they don't submit propositions to a national agency because they don't want maybe to work with the public organization. But we saw last year that there is very good companies in Brazil. Could be in the sector of agriculture, could be the sector of life science. I had a very good impression in life science and health sector, and we see that there is also a lot of opportunities of collaboration where Brazilian companies, most of them knows how to reach the market better than the Israeli ones. They know how to reach the end user instead of reaching only the corporation, and they know how to create a big corporation, and we see it in the number of new unicorns that there is in Brazil, and how this ecosystem is growing in the last years, and not only the technology side, also the investment side.
Okay, and another one is that how do you think that this cooperation between Israel and Brazil is aware, the Brazilians are aware of that, and how can the Brazil-Israel Chamber of Commerce can help you in this way?
First of all, we see the Brazilian and Israeli Chamber of Commerce as a partner for this kind of initiatives, because what we want is to share with the Brazilian ecosystem and Brazilian companies the opportunities of partnership. We want to do some webinars. We are going to do some webinars during this call for proposal that we are going to open with Embrapi in the next month. And we want to create those partnerships. We see that all the companies that they are members of the Brazil-Israel Chamber of Commerce, they want to create this partnership. They are looking for that. So we want to be a facilitator for that. So if we can do it together, we can do some webinars. Why not? Let's do it together.
Okay, great. Guilherme, now you have the floor, and please give some information about your experience in technology, which is very important for us.
Okay, great. So I've been dealing with Israeli companies for a long time, as an entrepreneur and also as an executive in the companies that I worked for. And I'd like to ask Alan, during these years, I had to deal with some kind of situation that it's common in Israel, which is most of the companies, they are willing to go to American market, to Europe market, from some years ago by now to Asian markets. And sometimes we feel that Latin America and Brazil is the last option for many of the companies. So I'd like to hear what's your take on that, and also what should we Brazilians be doing to change this mood?
Can you say again the last word? What did you say?
What we Brazilians should be doing to change this situation?
First of all, I think that it's very hard to companies in Israel to partner with markets that they don't know. And I think that most of the Brazilian companies also doesn't know the Israeli market. And I think that like organizations like yours and myself also, we need to create those bridges. We need to create those ways or platforms that allow Israeli companies and Brazilian companies meet, to know each other, to do some businesses together. I think that the COVID-19 creates a new scene, a new scenario for international collaborations. Why? Because most of the companies now in the tech sector around the world, they're looking for the money, which means they're looking for the client, they're looking for the investment, they're looking for how they can still working and creating a new technology and innovation. So I think that because of the crisis, we see a huge opportunity to increase the collaborations between Israel and Brazil. First of all, Brazil is a huge economy, a huge market, and most of the companies that they work there, they work in all Brazil. When you work in all Brazil, it's kind of a region, and for Israeli companies that they almost work from Israel, and they try to penetrate different markets. If Brazil is open to Israeli tech solutions, so I think that there is a great potential, and there is also, I think, the technology and the market, the technology from Israel and the market of Brazil are complementary. And I think that, first of all, the government needs to bring the funding or the help or the platforms that they will help to companies from both countries to create new businesses. That's one thing. The second thing that we have to do, it's to create the opportunity. Like, I see a lot of large corporations in Brazil starting to invest in Israel, starting to create a partnership with Israeli companies. And I think in the last 2 or 3 years, we see the number of partnerships between Israeli and Brazilian companies increasing, not only because the government from Brazil and the government from Israel creates those opportunities. Instead of that, also the private sector see that there is opportunity. I think that's something that I believe. It's very hard to understand what will happen in the next year, in the next 2 years, 5 years in the market. It's very hard. I think that it's also impossible. But if we see what happened in the last years, in the 5 or 10 years, we see that innovation is something that is central in the economy, in the market. If we see in the 2007, how many companies were tech companies in the 10 largest company by market cap in the world, I think that maybe 4 or 3. In 2020, maybe 7 of them are tech companies, the 10 largest companies in the world, and something that they're investing on it, and I think that it's something that is very, very central in their business model now. It's the using of the data and data and the analysis of data and all what we do with data. It creates a new paradigm of the market of where large companies are going to invest. And if you see the ranking of largest or what better ecosystem for data or the talents, where are the talents of data, data science and I don't know, artificial intelligence in the world are in Israel, and most of those companies are here. We have something like 350 multinational corporations are in these centers. So what we see is that Brazilian large companies are looking to partner with Israel because they see that that's the new path. That's the new path where all the large companies are going to work with, and I think that it's something that will happen, and not only because of the crisis, also still of the crisis, that they are going to happen in the next few years.
Yeah, great. And what type of recommendation should you give to Brazilian companies and Brazilian entrepreneurs when dealing with Israeli companies? We know that there are some cultural differences, and this is something which is really very important when doing business, and sometimes people don't pay so much attention to that.
That's right. Israelis put a lot of attention in let's say going through the point. They don't want to. They don't like formalize. They don't like. They like the personal relation with their clients or with their partners. They put a lot of effort in creating a personal relation with their partners, and that I think maybe it's something that's similar with Brazil or Latin America. That's from from one hand. From the other side, I think that something that is very, very important for Israelis is to see the project. They don't want to speak about big words. They want to see how they're going to work, what they're going to do, what they're going to fulfill, and they want to see it very, very fast. And they prefer to have a solution or a yes or a no for a discussion in a negotiation, instead of doing a negotiation for weeks or months. They prefer to do it fast and quickly. And if you can partner with an Israeli company, do it. If you can't, they are going to be like good relation with you. Maybe in the future, they don't want to waste time. And I think that's something that is very. I think it's quite different from Latin America. I know that Latin America, the time of a negotiation could be more than the Israelis does. And it's something that it's very important for Israelis. That they don't have time, they don't have attention, and they want to do everything very fast and quickly and move on to the next project. And it's the same thing that I think that also we have to pay attention on it.
Okay, Alan, we have a few questions from the public, and one of them is Brazilian Congress recently approved a new law on the water and sanitation sector, which aims to stimulate privatization and more competition. Do you foresee more investment and partnership in this field between Israel and Brazil?
Yes. One of the projects that we had in our last call for proposal with the IDB, with the Inter-American Development Bank, was in the water sector. And I think that the water and sanitation sector, especially during the COVID-19, it's critical. And we see that the Israeli companies could bring a lot of solutions to the Brazilian market, to the Latin American market, but especially the Brazilian market. And there is a huge business there. But from the other hand, it's something that is also important to say. It's very important for creating a more sustainable world, a more secure world for everybody. And I think that there is a huge potential there for population, like for creating sanitation or water activities for the population, but also in the industries, how we can improve the use of water in large industries in Brazil. Also would be also very useful for creating sustainable growth for all Latin America, for Brazil especially.
Good. Another question is, which areas do you recently receive more projects? And if you can give an example when something that you have in the pipeline that's interesting to share with us.
Okay, if you mean about the Israeli National Authority, our main focus during this crisis is the bioconvergence sector, which means we try to fund and to promote initiatives of R&D and innovation between biotechnology and engineering areas, where they together can solve challenges from the health sector. That's one thing. And Israeli biotechnology and engineering sector are very good ones. And we see that it's something that we are putting as a priority for us. Second thing that we see that it's increasing in the last years in the partnership, especially with Latin America, are water initiatives. The smart city sector also, it's very interesting for all Latin America. Logistics and fintech, and also the agriculture sector, and that's something that it's historically we work together, and we see that it's something that in the last years it's increasing too.
Great.
Alan, tell me something concerning these R&D partnerships. Do you think the best case for something like that, it's something completely new for the company, for a Brazilian company, or something that they have been developing here and want to boost the development? In which case do you think this is more relevant for a partnership like that?
Let's think about the experience that we have. We have two kinds of partnerships. One of them is a partnership where a large company partners with an Israeli company, and then they boost, as you said, like something that is already done, or it's in a process of done in Brazil, and they are trying to boost it together with the Israeli tech solution. That's one thing that was also successful. From the other side, also we see that Brazilian startups, they want to create new products. They also use some of their IP, but they want to create new products, very innovative ones, together with Israeli companies. And the Israeli companies are also bringing their IP, but together the companies are creating new products and new IP. So let's say that both of the initiatives are good and they are successful. It depends of the company. It depends of the how they know how to operate this kind of partnership, because one of the main problems that we see in partnerships between Latin American companies and Israeli ones is that most of them, they don't know how to partner with international companies in Latin America, and in Brazil we see that most of them, they know how to do this, and because of this the projects are successful. And we see that it's something that is very important, how to operate a international collaboration initiative. It's very important, more important than the funding and more important than the technology, because most of the technology could be good or medium one, and also the funding could be what they need. It doesn't need to be hundreds of millions of dollars, but the operational thing, the operational side of the project, it's critical. If they don't know how to partner and how to create an added value for both companies, it will not have a success.
And do you think with COVID-19, did something change in kind of in the areas of interest, or because we know we've been reading about Israeli companies doing a lot of things on this crisis. Do you think, did it change anything in the areas of interest in Israel?
I think that in the meantime, yes. In the long term, no. I think that the changes happened in the last years, and we saw them in mobility, we saw them in the health sector, we saw them in logistics, we saw them in the fintech sector. We saw them in a lot of sectors that where the technology changed them. I don't think that the COVID will change those processes. Maybe they will foster them. They will boost them. I don't think that there is a huge change. Yes, we see that there is more interest in investments and projects for health sector. That's very obviously, that's very obvious, and I'm not seeing why not. But from the other hand, we see that also the market needs to keep doing business. They keep to produce, and maybe deep technologies like Israeli develops, they're going to be relevant also after COVID-19 or more, maybe. Maybe low technologies that they are less, let's say, less deep. Maybe they will have some difficulties. Maybe technologies that are more related, I don't know, to tourism or to, I don't know, things that they are affected by the COVID. Maybe they will have some difficulties, but the overall technology ecosystem all over the world will have a big boost, because the world understand that the technology could solve a lot of crises and created a more flexible market. That's something that I think that is crucial. Maybe all the markets are learning that flexible. It's something that is crucial for a market to create a sustainable growth. And Israel as a market, it's a very flexible one. If you see the history of Israel in the last 72 years, almost all years the Israeli economy growth. Okay, when the Israeli economy didn't grow during the pandemic situation, where everybody didn't grow during this year. So we see that the Israeli market is very flexible, and it's something that I think it's also relevant for the ecosystem of innovation, and I think it's something that could be an added value for partnerships in the future.
Great. Alan, we have another question from Jaime Blay. Do missions of Israeli companies to Brazil would be a way of approaching them to our market?
No doubt. Yes. I think that most of the companies, also Israelis and Brazilian ones, and also entrepreneurs, they don't know how looks Israel, how looks Brazil, how you live in Brazil, how you live in Israel, how do you do businesses in Brazil. You can do, let's say, now we see that you can do businesses through video conference, okay? And I'm sure that you, Renato, and you, Guilherme, feel it like very, very real. And we usually listen here in Israel that with Latin America, you can't do businesses through video conference. You need to sit with the partners, you need to eat with them, you need to drink with them, and no doubt that's something that is very, very important. I think that also for Latin Americans and also for Israelis, the personal contact, as I said in the past question, and I hope that also these kind of missions, also from Israel to Brazil and also from Brazil to Israel, are creating a new atmosphere, a different one, a more kind one. And I think that creates also an awareness of the opportunities. And I think that this awareness creates also businesses, in fact. And I think that, yes, it's something that it's important.
Great. I want just to share in the screen our next live, just to inform people. We have com Amos Guenes, crescimento do segmento digital, como os bancos estão se adaptando a essa realidade. Então, nós teremos no dia 16 de julho, às 17 horas, com Amos Guedes, que é o sócio sênior e chefe da unidade de varejo digital do BTG Digital. Uma grande live que nós vamos ter, então, no dia 16, dos 7 às 17 horas. Alan, we are in the end of our time, so thank you very much for accepting our invitation. Your message was very important for us. I'm sure that we will have more business between Israel and Brazil with the Brazilian companies, and we are at your disposal here in Brazil and the Brazil-Israel Chamber of Commerce. Good luck in Israel.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Guilherme. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Renato.
And Alan, all the best. Thank you very much. Obrigado por todo mundo.
Thank you very much. Obrigado.
Obrigado.